Okay, hi guys. Just want to do another little progress update on my project. I finished up these two bases tonight, and earlier this evening I did a stream where I kind of brainstormed my next project, which I think I decided on what I want to do. I also did the flock on this command base here. These are Crimean Tatars. And then I only have a few more to go. I've got this guy, he's set up ready to paint, and then I've got about, so 6 in total more to paint, so 2 more bases, plus the Crimean Tatar overall commander to do, and then I have to paint the kind of the rabble, the Tatar rabble. Goes with them, and then these guys will be all done, and then I can kind of assess how many more Tatars I need, or if I need to maybe when I can buy more Nogai Tatars from Kherson Miniatures, which are pretty nice figures. I have some already. But then I can kind of assess. Another thing I thought of while I was painting these guys up is, I can also always just break them into units of like 6, have small units because they are horse archers, or maybe have a scenario rule where, Tatars can split into, can act maybe as like one stand, but obviously they'll take like a shooting penalty or something, they're not, because there's not as many troops. I don't know. The other thing I did was thinking about running the game. So I think what I may do is try to keep it as a 4-player game if I can make it to a convention in September or October sometime, depending on money and time constraints and all that. And that way I can just run it as 4 players, and then I think would be manageable because it'd be my first convention game, and it would help me learn how to run it. It would also make me less stressed from running it for the first time on my own, because if it's just 4 people, I think that's an easy group compared to like 6 or more or something. Plus, I think it would fit with the number of miniatures I currently have. Now, with this Satsura project, the main thing I do need to add more of that I know I need more of is Polish heavy cavalry, either Panzerni or Hussars. So my thinking right now is probably to get 2 more Panzerni units, either from Fire and Sword or do Khurassan's Panzerni. They look really good too. And then 1 more Khurasan unit of Winged Hussars. I could look at the Fire and Sword Hussar packs to see if they have any. I don't know how many they come to, because every time I tried to get them, actually, they were out of stock from Fire and Sword. But anyway, by Fire and Sword, I should say. But anyway, either one's fine. I just need more Polish medium and heavy cavalry to make up that middle battalion. And then I also, on the stream, came up with a better idea of how to divide it up if it's a 4-player game, is that for the Polish side, so the one Polish player would get the middle battalion, so the main battalion, and the one of the wagon tabors, and then the other player would get both flanks and the wagon tabor. So the second player would get more battalions overall, but then if by dividing up the wagons, it would, I think, kind of simulate the difficulty they had with coordinating the wagons in the real battle, maybe. Now, I mean, in a game that could be remedied because the players could just talk to each other and coordinate the moves better, obviously. But in Baroque, on the other hand, though, in Baroque, when the turn rolls over, you're not supposed to activate a battalion twice in a row. So that could kind of somewhat simulate that, I think. But ultimately, I think I just need to try and go to the convention and run the game. And if it's 4 people, I can probably manage it okay. I think probably most historical conventions, if I said, hey, I'm like a first-time GM, they would, I think people would be pretty reasonable. So, yeah, I just need to go and do it and try it out. But in terms of miniatures, yeah, I think I should have maybe 1 or 2 more Tatar units, and then definitely more of those Polish cavalry, and then I think it would be enough for a 4-player game. Now, if I wanted to scale it up even more, and make it do the same battle, but just with more miniatures to kind of get the scale of it across, I can do that in the future. But I think in terms of getting the basic scenario to run, I'm nearly have enough. But ultimately, I consider the project basically done. It's just a matter of adding a few more things. Because when I painted up Polish cavalry, I didn't know. I really thought I had enough, and of the medium cavalry at least, and I actually did not. So anyway, just kind of an oversight, because I wanted to make sure everything was kind of, all the elements were represented. And like I said, I don't know if the Hungarians, the Transylvanians, will actually make it in, because as far as I can tell, they didn't actually fight. They were maybe like in the camp, Ottoman camp, or nearby or something. But anyway, but the next project, I think, what I talked about on the stream is I do want to do the 1402 Battle of Ankara. I've talked about this basically since I started doing this channel almost, and I really got into doing historical figures. And I'll do it in 15 millimeter. Now, I had a few other project ideas that I talked about. The first one I did a few months ago was I wanted to do the Tibetan Empire versus Tang China. And I still want to do that one eventually, but that would require me painting 2 completely new armies. And I would have to do a lot of research on that, especially the Tang Chinese. And for cost and time reasons, that doesn't seem very prudent right now. The next project, which I think is more realistic, but still kind of difficult, is if I did Sasanians, but it would have to be in 15 millimeter for cost reasons. And I do want to do it, but I just don't. And then I'd also have to paint up like a Heraclius period, like late Roman, very early Byzantine army. And again, that would be 2 completely new armies, and I would love to do it. And I do know that history a little bit better, but it would be a lot. Now, if I did Sasanians, I would probably, over the course of this year, what I'd probably do is just buy like maybe a unit in 15 millimeter here and there, but not really go hard painting it up. Now, the Battle of Ankara is different because I don't really have to paint 2 armies. It's more like 1 army, and then I do need to paint some additional Ottoman units that represent the kind of earlier Ottoman army. Before they were really an empire, they were more like a sultanate, like a kingdom, basically, in the early late 14th, early 15th century. But luckily Khorasan has like the earlier style janissaries with bows, and I think they sell the ones with swords. And then I would have to paint the Timurid army, and that would be a lot. But it would be cool. Also, I like the Timurids because, unlike like my Safavid Persians, which they were also Turkic dynasty and the Ottoman rival, but visually they look pretty close. Now, the Timurids look a lot different, at least the main units. They have kind of a Mongol look to them, a little bit more. But if you look at the Khorasan Miniatures website, look at the Timurids, I think they look really cool. Now with them, you know, I could use a lot of these Tatars as the kind of like Turkoman cavalry, I think, that they had in their army already. So I do have some things. Some of, I think, my Safavid, couple of my Safavid units I think I could use as like levy cavalry. So I would have some things I could use for that army, and then, you know, fill in the rest with Khorasan figures. And then the other thing I would have to get for the Ottoman army is some knights to represent the Serbian contingent of the Ottoman army. And fortunately, Khorasan also has, in their 14th century range, they have knights that represent German, Hungarian, basically all Central and Southeast European kind of nations at that time. So that's really good. And I didn't know this. You know, sometimes I go on the Khorasan site and it's like discovering, you know, a nice little treasure, I guess. They have like a bunch of Kumans for you know, the Kingdom of Hungary at that time. They have like Hungarian light cavalry, which is neat, specific Hungarian stuff. So that's pretty cool. I'll have to keep that in mind. But like I said, I think I'll stick with Ankara, and if I do Sasanians, it's going to be like, you know, like I said, one unit here or there if I can afford, you know, afford it and devote the time to it. And then that way, you know, it's another cool big army project, but I don't have to completely start over or start from scratch. You know, now that I have a decent 15mm collection built up. Now, the really crazy stretch goal, so to speak, that I would have with this project is if I did like a double convention game where, because there's the Crusade of Nicopolis happens in 1399, and then the Battle of Ankara is only a few years later in 1402. So I could have like a 2-part, you know, game where you could play the Nicopolis game like on the Friday, and then the Ankara game on the Saturday. But that would be pretty insane in terms of work, because I'd have to build all the armies, all the Crusader army, you know, look up how to paint all the knights and everything, which would be completely new to me. So that would be pretty insane. That would be cool. That would be fun, but it's not really realistic at the moment. And then the Ankara project is also a little more realistic because this is a book I got when I was in Turkey, and it discusses Timur in a lot of detail. This is a published edition of didn't mean to slam that book down, but this is a published edition of an Ottoman source, so it's in Turkish, obviously. But the important thing is, and I can show you this, and you don't really need to know any Ottoman to see this. Yeah, you know, the conquest of Nicopolis, Nigbolu. Oh wait, this is later, I think, actually. We want the earlier period, because it talks about Timur directly. Anyway, I was able to flip right open to it, but this is a historical text, the history of Behishti. I don't remember what Varidat is, but basically Futuhat, the conquests of the Osmani, of the Osmans, runs from 1389 to 1502. and it was composed in the reign of, I think, reign of Bayezid II. Yeah, that would make sense because it's when a lot of history was written. But anyway, so yeah, I have that text, and that would be fun to kind of translate and work through. Maybe I could even publish something for my real career about that. I don't know. But anyway, okay, this is kind of a longer video, but this is what I've got going on. It's coming along nicely, and hopefully I'll have another army showcase for you guys soon if I can get all these Tatars done. And yeah, so thanks for watching, guys, and listening to me. And I've been doing the streams more often lately, so thanks for you guys that come and hang out on those. Yeah, have a good evening.